Friday night. You're at the movie theater about to watch the new Avengers movie, and your bestie calls and says, "Look for my name in the credits. I worked on that movie." You diligently check the credits, but you cannot find their name because you were trying to look through over 4,000 other names scrolling up the screen faster than you can see them, let alone read them. 4,000 people is more people than it took to build the Empire State Building. My whole point with this, just like our last two film crew videos, is that there are a ton of people that work on these movies that you gobble up every weekend. Oftentimes, they're performing in roles you've never thought of or even had no idea they exist in the first place. The three film crew roles we're going to talk about today are digital imaging technician, most commonly referred to as DIT, production designer, and props master. That's up next on Fact Bites. While you're still trying to figure out that friend's film credit on IMDb, take a minute to like and subscribe. First up, let's talk about the production designer. Their job title is maybe one of the most easiest to understand on a film set. They basically design the set in accordance with the vision of the directors and the producers to fit the thematic and aesthetic needs of the film. Their level of involvement is pretty variable. It depends on things like budget and location. Take a home dinner scene, for example. The plates, the silverware, the table, the placemats, the chairs, all would have been picked by the production designer, or even manufactured or handmade by someone the production designer hired. Taking it a step further though, the color of paint on the wall, the lamp in the corner, the pictures in the background, their frames. Heck, if it's a kitchen that needs an island in the scene, the production designer is going to have that island built exactly the way they want it. Now again, a big emphasis on the variability of this role because not every set is going to have the budget to let every production designer make the decisions they would want. Maybe the location scout found a house with a kitchen to shoot in where everything's already perfect, so the production designer is just going to add a few plants here or there and a bowl of fruit on the table. Maybe their film is a micro budget, and the kitchen use is going to be whichever crew member's kitchen is the nicest, with some dishware from IKEA. Maybe the budget is so immense that the production designer gets to design and have a full kitchen set built from scratch. It depends. Nevertheless, the production designer works as hard as they can to make sure everything in the film is aesthetically coherent. Let's walk through a typical PD workflow. A PD would be brought on long before filming begins. They'd be having discussions with the director and the producer about what it is they need to visually convey and what resources they have to make that happen. They'd have some time to research and figure out how best to make this come to life, and this could vary immensely. Think of the difference between a film where a woman works from home and a film where a group of historically accurate Vikings time travel their ships throughout history. One is going to be a lot more involved than the other. They'll then design their sets and lay out their vision, but it's unlikely that they'll be able to achieve all this on their own. So they're going to hire a team to work under them. Set designers, prop masters, set decorators, wardrobe supervisors, you name it. And from there, they'll make it all come to life. Most of their work is going to be done in pre-production, but they're going to be in attendance for the shooting too. They have to come to set to make sure everything is still within their vision and manage all the assets that their crew made or just brought to set. And now you might be saying to yourself, well, what if after the kitchen scene, the lead actor starts hula hooping? Would that hula hoop be handled by the production designer? No. That would be handled by the props master. The props master is the person in charge of identifying, sourcing, and handling all items that are deemed props in the script. A prop is different than a piece of set decoration because a character is going to interact with it on screen. Binoculars, cameras, sports equipment, you name it. In just about every movie, actors are going to have scenes in which they need to pick something up or hand something to another person. Whether they're picking up a love letter to reveal an integral plot point, or they're opening their umbrella on a rainy day to symbolize despair. You need someone on set keeping track of those things so that nothing gets messed up or forgotten. A props master also starts their work well before shooting. They're going to go through the script and highlight every item that will be deemed a prop. They're then going to make or obtain those props in coordination with the budget, the producer, the director, and maybe even the production designer like we talked about earlier. Again, their role can vary based on things like how many props are needed, how big their budget is, how many props need to be on screen at a given time, etc., etc. They're also going to be on set during filming to make sure that they bring the props, make sure that the props are there when the actors need them, and to make sure that they remain continuous from scene to scene. Maybe there's a cheeky scene in the script where our lead actor tries to pull back a slingshot and it breaks. The props master then might need to cut the rubber on several slingshots so that if they need to get several takes, they have enough props to do so. These compounding complexities can make this job very difficult and necessitates someone with a lot of experience. So the props master needs to source historically accurate blowhorns, have a team big enough to make sure each Viking has the right blowhorn, and then coordinate with the sound department to make sure that they're not messing up all the sound. Yikes. The one thing that the props master will not be handling, however, is guns and weapons props. Because safety is a priority, there's a dedicated position and team to handle all of those. That person is called the weapons master, or the armorer, and that's a position for another video. The last position we're going to cover today is the DIT, or the Digital Imaging Technician. The DIT is the bridge between the production and the post-production, and they're a vital member of the camera department. Before movies went digital and everything was shot on film, there was a film loader. The film loader's job was essentially to be ready to load a fresh magazine whenever the camera needed one, and then remove that magazine that had footage on it and get it safely to where it needed to go. With digital, it may seem easier since they only have to swap out cards or drives, but that same transition to digital also brought other nuanced difficulties that an attentive person needs to solve, hence the DIT. This position might fluctuate from set to set more than any position we've talked about so far. On some sets, the DIT's job might just be to give the cinematographer fresh SD cards, and then take the SD cards that have footage on them, offload them onto drives, and get those drives to the editor. While that is the fundamental core of the DIT, they're oftentimes going to wear many more hats than that. The DIT is brought on during pre-production, and is going to coordinate with the rest of the camera department, the producer, and the editor to create a data management system that works for the entire team. Digital files come in all shapes and sizes, especially considering that a lot of cameras have their own file types. The DIT is going to be the person responsible for making sure that those files are compatible with their post-production workflow and make sure that all the files are compressed, uncompressed, labeled, backed up, and any other digital file structuring needs. The DIT is also commonly responsible for understanding and altering camera settings. Yes, sometimes even overriding the cinematographer. Cameras output many different file types and color sciences, and it's the DIT's job to coordinate with everyone and make sure that everyone's using the right files at the right times. They'll also have to be near the camera, taking in a video signal and outputting that signal to a color-corrected monitor. See, every film is going to have chosen a color filter to go on top of their image. Think like an Instagram filter, and this is called a lookup table, or a LUT. And it's the DIT's job to take the image out of the camera, apply a LUT to it, and then output that to a monitor for everyone's viewing pleasure. This is very important because if anything is off with the color that they're inputting, they're going to need to talk that over with the cinematographer. The next duty of the DIT is to manage the data itself, which for these movies, it can be a daunting amount. Think 500 gigabytes per hour of footage. They're going to have the cards ready to go into the camera and be taking those cards out of the camera once they're full. But more than just that, they're going to be taking those cards, putting them on hard drives, and immediately backing them up, oftentimes onto a backup hard drive as well as a physical tape media, such as an LTO tape. If we're spending millions of dollars to bring all these people together and shoot a film, we need to make sure that someone is backing all of that up and handling it with extreme caution. Once the day is over, the DIT will send that footage out to the producers in the form of dailies, which are basically just all the shots that were captured on that day. After that, they'll get all the footage to the editor based on the predetermined delivery structure that they figured out. And there you have it. Next time you're watching a film, you're going to understand 3 more credits than last time. Maybe you'll even realize it during the movie and think, wow, it had to have taken a lot of coordination to get all those time-traveling Vikings on one ship. Thank goodness someone else did that, so I can watch it in my PJs for $9.99 a month, or $12.99 a month, or $15, or... Got any friends who do these jobs for a living? Got any other weird film credits you need to know what they are? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.